I'm gonna tag my me and Lee's little horror minion that we're molding like a little piece of horror clay, Durbin from Durbania.
Challenge accepted. Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is the vampire tag. Cody Leach tagged me, and he tagged me because, as he said in the video in which he tagged me, I'm kind of his and Lee's of Dum Drum's little minion. So they're kind of introducing me to the world of horror. And there's some vampire movies on here, well, at least one that I'm really thinking of that is on my list that I would not have seen if it were not for Cody Leach introducing me to it. So, there are 8 questions in this vampire tag. You can find those questions in my description. If you want to answer those questions, feel free to do so in the comments, and at the end of this video, I'm going to tag some other excellent YouTubers in this whole tag and see what they come up with. So, are we ready for this? Diving into question number 1. What is your favorite vampire film and why? My favorite vampire film is Bram Stoker's Dracula 1992 with Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman as Dracula, and Keanu Reeves. That movie is just a classic to me forever. And you know what? I could get all hoity-toity about this and say, Gary Oldman gave a fantastic performance of Dracula that just nobody can rival it. Anthony Hopkins was brilliant as Van Helsing. I could, do that. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be honest with you as to why this is my favorite vampire film. I saw this movie way back in the day when I was in high school. Probably early high school years. I was in a version of this done as a play because I did a lot of community theater, and somebody at our theater was converting this to a stage play. I don't even know if they got the rights, but they were converting it into a stage play, and it was terrible. I mean, the script was awful. It was so dumb. It was beyond belief. So I ended up watching Bram Stoker's Dracula just to see what is this thing supposed to be. And so in contrast, this was so good, it blew my mind and has stayed in my mind as like a highlight of vampire films ever since then because of how epically bad that stage performance of Dracula was. It was bad. Are vampires better than werewolves? Yes. Number 3, who's the most brutal vampires in a film? Ugh. Man, okay, so limited vampire knowledge here, so I'm going to pick one vampire, and I'm just going to go with Selene. The Underworld movies are just some of my favorite mindless action movies of vampire versus Lycans, and Selene is just this Matrix vampire ninja. I mean, she kicks the butt of the werewolves, she kicks the butt of the vampires. I mean, come on. I wouldn't want to mess with that woman. I'm just saying, she's brutal. Number 4. Favorite vampire transformation. I think my favorite vampire transformation, the one that sticks out to me, is Interview with the Vampire, Lewis's transformation from a human into a vampire. And I've seen the movie one time, and it's been a long time, so I haven't seen it in a very long time. And yet, that one particular scene so stood out to me that the moment I saw that question, it just popped in my mind. So even before I sat down here to film this video, I watched that scene again on YouTube, and no wonder it just stuck in my mind. It's like a really, really intense scene where you have Brad Pitt as Lewis, and then Tom Cruise as Lestat. Lestat bites his neck, and then he's like dying and convulsing. He drinks Tom Cruise's blood, and then he's really dying and convulsing, and Tom Cruise is like, yeah, just go ahead and ignore that. Your body's just dying. No big deal. Happens to us all. No big deal. Anyway, so like, it's a really intense scene watching this guy transform. And it's interesting because I remember the first time I was watching this scene, it was like an interesting picture to me. Like, he is literally in this moment dying to his old life, and he's having a rebirth and becoming a new creation altogether and raising up to a new life. It sort of reminded me of that Christian walk where we pass from death into life, where we become a new creation and we become free. But the vampire is the exact opposite, where they pass from life into death, and now they're slaves even to their like most base instincts. Like, they're just draw for blood, like they're just slaves to all of that. So I don't know, it's really interesting, and I even thought about that while I was watching that scene because I love movies that make me think. So the intensity of that scene and just thinking about that, like, it just made that scene a highlight for me. What is the silliest, worst vampire film you've seen? Twilight. They sparkle. Best vampire comedy / parody. legit answer is gonna have to be Fright Night. That movie is hysterical. It was surprisingly good. I'm not talking the remake. I haven't seen the remake. I'm talking the original. I even did a video on it. It was just a really good movie. Would not have been on my list without Cody Leach introducing me to it. Just fun vampire. And how could it be like so funny and yet it was so incredibly true to vampire lore? I had a blast with it. My wife Laura walked by as she heard me reading this question out loud. She said, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Does not surprise me. My wife loves senseless violence, and she never wants to see Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter again, and neither do I. But while we were watching it, it was so over-the-top ridiculous that, yeah, it was a blast, even though we don't need to see it again. What was your first vampire film? I think it's Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. I think that was the first vampire film I've watched. It was either that or Underworld. I'm gonna bet it was Bram Stoker's Dracula, though. So, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I think that was the first vampire film I ever watched, and that film just really stuck with me. And then I think after that I saw Underworld. I was like, yeah, that's fun stuff. Who's your favorite vampire, real or fictional or both? Real? From all that I've seen in the movies, they just want to suck my blood. No, I'm sorry. Like, I do not have a real favorite vampire. But my favorite fictitious vampire, probably Selene. Those Underworld movies are just amazingly fun to me. Every time I put them in, I could put in any one of those Underworld movies, turn off my brain, and just have fun. And Selene is just awesome, man. I mean, Kate Beckinsale is amazing in that role. She's an amazing fighter. It's awesome. So I think she would have to be my favorite fictitious vampire. So there it is. That is my answering of those 8 questions. So if you would like to answer them in the comments, you can check out my description. You can see the list of 8 questions. And then in the comments below, you could go ahead and answer those questions. The YouTubers that I will tag: Cody Curtis, I tag you. Ryan O'Toole, I tag you. Zach Pope, I tag you. Wait, there was one more. Jeremy Branch! I already tagged you the last time I got tagged in one of these things, but you know what, dude? I'm just gonna tag you again, because why not over there at Be Terrible Movies? So I tag all of you guys. Go nuts! Make sure you like and share this video. Hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit the bell by the subscribe button. That way you're notified the very next time I drop a movie review, theological analysis, ranking video, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.